Don't stop me now. Having such a good time. Having a ball.
Just one?
We shall begin.
Welcome to Movie Painter Pleasure Podcast, the show that...
Doesn't give a shit anymore.
I guess it just punishes itself. I'm wearing no makeup. I didn't even dry my hair. I'm wearing my favorite old soft t-shirt because this fucking movie doesn't deserve my effort. AJ, what? I need to clear my throat.
Doesn't deserve your
doesn't
voice,
deserve,
apparently.
Yeah, I know. We always do this after dinner, so I'm always all phlegmy. So, AJ, what movie are we talking about?
Bag of dicks.
I mean, there were dicks aplenty at the beginning.
Dicks and asses.
Dicks and asses. All right. But what's the commercial name of this movie?
Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin from 1997.
Final Michael Goff. The final in the Michael Goff franchise.
Really, that's what you should think of it now, because he's the best, most consistent character throughout the movie. There's some really sweet, heartwarming things with Alfred, and I swear they put that in for people like me who absolutely hate the rest of this movie. So, obviously, this was a hate watch, not a guilty pleasure. Now, how I am a little bit on brand with my drink, I have this little bottle of vodka called Deep Eddy Lime, made in Austin, Texas, a little bit south of us. We're in the DFW Metroplex. And I'm drinking this because Mr. Freeze, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, said,
"In this universe, there's only one absolute. Everything freezes."
And I'm like, bitch, vodka doesn't. But I swear, if you remember the 90s, I swear that was a shout out to Absolute Vodka. I used to collect the ads because I liked photography and pictures and everything. I swear that was a joke shout out to Absolute Vodka. So I'm going to have this little bit of vodka that's been in my freezer. Can you open this?
Oh my god.
I can't open it. This little bit of vodka that's been in my freezer and is clearly not frozen. And I normally don't drink vodka, so this is going to get interesting. Oh. Ooh, this shit is tasty. Oh my god, this is delicious. So, we're talking about Batman and Robin, starring George Clooney as Bruce Wayne and Batman, Chris O'Donnell as the very forgettable Robin, Alicia Silverstone, who comes in later as Alfred's niece, and she becomes Batgirl. And, let's see, Michael Goff as Alfred, and then I almost forgot the villains. Arnold Schwarzenegger is Mr. Freeze, and he's actually not bad. He's probably my favorite character other than Alfred. And then Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, and this was one where I was embarrassed for her watching it.
It's a jungle in here.
So why don't you talk about the beginning visuals of this train wreck shit show of a movie?
Just cod pieces and asses, or you know.
Yeah, and it's, vivid cracks in the batsuit, not just kind of round on the ass, like vivid cracks. So it's like 20 zoom ins, like gauntlet, mask, chest piece, crotch, ass, shins, everything, nipples, everything. And we were watching it, I said, that is the biggest cod piece I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of ballet, and those cod pieces are huge.
The internet didn't exist massively like today, so I guess they didn't get the memo. People thought that nipples were stupid. It goes all the way down to George R.R. Martin. How many times someone makes a joke about he's as useless as nipples on a breastplate in his books. I swear I hear it like once per book. Okay, so they go out into the city, and I don't even remember why. My note here says the fucking theatrics, but no payoff. So we went straight into Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, it was straight. Mr. Freeze is stealing this cartoonishly large diamond
and he's just screaming puns.
Oh my god, the puns! There's so many puns from everybody,
and quite a few of them are like factually incorrect, like the Absolute Zero thing and. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age.
No, it didn't. That's not what killed the dinosaurs.
No, you're a scientist.
I know, there were a couple of things, and Mr. Freeze ends up being one of my favorite characters, but bro, you're a scientist. You do not know these things.
Or does he just do it to be annoying? Like, that's part of his
I think he probably
super villainy?
He was probably, thinking one night of puns and jokes he could say. And what if he said that and, no one laughed? And so that's why he has all those goons around him, so somebody will laugh at the puns. But
And, okay, even the goons were, going up to the next level. Okay, the Batman Forever is one of the best Batman movies ever as a comedy. So, they went past whatever point that was perfect for that movie on everything and just made it awful.
yeah,
The goons being, so specific to their job. Like, they had inline skates and shit and fucking hockey sticks.
Of course they did. And for the whole movie, this is a theme through all the action scenes, is we talked about angles in Batman Forever, and I think that's kind of a shout out to the 1960s Batman, but they were kind of restrained with the angles. It was always when the villains were on screen. If it's just Batman and Robin, or he's talking to Commissioner Gordon, or it's Bruce Wayne, it's a straight shot. With this one, I swear, it was an angle for almost every shot, and in the action shots,
it was especially confusing.
It was just visually overstimulating.
Because you'd start here, and then they would jump to the other side, be down there.
I think they did some of that because George Clooney's not an action guy, and they were too lazy to get really awesome stunt people.
I guess.
I mean, he's in a mask. You could have anybody you want.
Yeah, Batman's actually pretty covered up. They could probably pull that off.
It was a lot of flying and cartwheels and bad fighting.
Until they pulled out their fucking click-on skates.
Explain the skates. I'm going to have some more of the surprisingly delicious vodka.
There are moments of laughing throughout this movie, but it drags so much that it's not worth it. This is very, original 60s TV show, but I can't deal with it in this capacity. Just them getting knocked down on the ground and going, oh, we'll just fix this.
You get the ice, I'll get the ice man.
Where do those skates reside? It's okay, remember in Jeepers Creepers when he had his truck and those huge spikes came down?
Yeah, and there was where they came from nowhere.
There was no place to house those spikes.
I guess they could, but that would mean, the heels on these are, like a Prince level.
Oh, girl. So this is a big cartoony action opening. So Mr. Freeze gets away with the diamond, and he gets Batman into a rocket, and he's going to take him up to 30,000 feet. Well, your heart will freeze.
So basically, if it wasn't for Robin, Freeze would have won. He's the winner.
So Robin grabs onto the outside of the rocket. Now, if they're flying up that high and he hasn't passed out or fallen off and died, he gets inside the rocket, saves Batman
with a laser beam that
yeah,
he has in his
because
pocket.
he had made ice handcuffs for him. And so, yes, the laser beams come into play a couple of times. So Mr. Freeze ejects into... Oh, he kind of flies off. He has these wings, which bullshit. That looked like a heavy-ass suit.
Oh, yeah, that was fucking weird. Where he just turned into a hang glider.
Yeah, a hang glider 30,000 feet above? Bullshit.
And then Batman's a dick to Robin later about, well, you shouldn't do this, and you still need to listen to me when we talk about this, like he did in the last movie. But, bitch, you would have died. You were handcuffed.
Yeah, but...
You were stuck.
Yeah, but here's the best part.
And then he tries to murder Mr. Freeze in the air.
Oh, yeah, because they make... Fucking God, I hate this movie. They make, snowboards, basically, out of the doors of the rocket, and so they kind of eject themselves out.
Surf's up!
Hundreds and hundreds of feet in the air, and they're air surfing down.
Power Rangers.
But not as good as Power Rangers.
No,
Power Rangers is awesome.
The movie, not the show.
Yeah, the movie's fucking awesome.
I have to subject you to the show.
Aww.
You liked Pokemon.
Oh, I love Pokemon.
It's so dumb. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, they, in very bad CGI, float on pieces of metal down through the air. They commit an act of murder, but I don't remember how he survives it. It doesn't fucking matter. And then chase scene, and Robin gets frozen.
Stay cool, bird boy.
And he says, "You have 11 minutes to save him. Are you gonna save him, or are you gonna stop me from getting this big stupid... I
He's
can't...
Spanish now.
I can't do an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice."
No one can. Just don't bother.
So Mr. Freeze gets away, and you think 11 minutes. Keep that in your mind, because that comes back later. And so I guess the Lazarus pit is right there.
It's not the Lazarus
No, it's not the Lazarus pit.
It looks like it.
It looks like the Lazarus
He just picks
pit.
him up out of the air.
Picks it up like an ice sculpture.
And the cape is stuck at a weird angle, too. So... And he just drops him in the water like, okay, he's going to drown him.
And
Fuck.
shoots a laser to melt him.
To heat up the water.
I feel like if you were frozen instantly,
without...
you would die.
Oh, you'd be dead.
You would die.
You
would die immediately.
And then once you warm up, like, the shock would kill you if all of that didn't.
And he froze so many of his henchmen in this movie. There were a whole lot of deaths that we didn't talk about.
He froze a shitload of people.
So meanwhile... So Mr. Freeze has gotten in the way, and there's a reason why he steals diamonds all the time, so we'll get more of him.
And then we get to...
the
Riddler.
The Riddler. Oh, Pamela Isley?
Yeah.
So somewhere in the jungle in South America, in a really dingy lab, this nerdy woman who is played by Uma Thurman.
It's still in Gotham.
No, because remember they say that she and another guy escaped they flew from South America? And it shows the picture of her and Bane.
Oh, it wasn't even worth noting. Okay,
yeah,
fine.
She was in this lab, and she really cares about plants and the environment.
So her great idea is to give them teeth, basically.
to crossbreed them with venomous snakes so they can fight back.
So she created the Happening.
What? No!
I mean, honestly, at this point, humans kind of deserve it. So she's working on plants, and like, that's okay. But in the back, there's this evil lab going on where they're doing experiments on humans, and there's this crazy scientist, and they've got all these guys up in, like, there's a dude from North Korea, there's a guy from Saudi Arabia, there's one of those white guys from Squid Game.
Picture the thing from the new Jurassic World, the second one, where people were just auctioning off dinosaurs. Same thing.
Yeah, and the Squid Game white people.
And fun Easter egg for people who enjoyed Smallville. Whoever played Lex's dad, I can't remember his name. He's this guy. Okay. He's the crazy scientist.
Why don't you talk about how they make Bane?
Steroids. That's it. He's like,
they take a little skinny
I've created a super soldier serum.
Oh, what does that sound like? That sounds familiar.
Bitch! Marvel's gonna have to slap you in the dick. Like, you don't steal our super soldier serum. We steal your comic book characters constantly and make them better. Ooh, but you don't steal our super soldier serum. So he's just like, through a combination of science and steroids, which is kind of what steroids came from anyway.
Steroids come from science, so...
Okay. And then we're like, we created this man that we filled with synthol to make his biceps stupidly shaped.
He was a little skinny guy, and they put this luchador mask on him, so we know who this is going to be.
I guess so we don't have to see him, like,
maybe
behind the mask.
I never quite got the point of the mask, unless it was to keep the serum going.
Oh yeah, it is.
So he creates Bane. Not Bane from The Dark Knight Rises, where he's kind of hot.
Somewhere between Tom Hardy Bane and... No, he's not even close to either one of them, because...
That's what I'm saying. He's not hot like Tom Hardy, and he's not sweet like Bane.
Harley Quinn Bane is between this guy and Tom Hardy.
This is where we get approval for the use of Legion resources like goons and getaway cars.
And explosions!
I have no idea what the fuck explosions are, Bane.
Anyway, so he is a Pokemon. He
says his own name all the time?
He only says shit like Bane, and they're like, let's go blow stuff up, and he's like, stuff up, and fucking explosions!
I will blow up this microphone. Meanwhile, some Me Too shit happens. The scientist goes into Pamela Isley's lab and is like, now you and I together can rule the world. She's like, I'm not really into you. And he tries to kiss her, which, no, don't do that. Don't kiss people who don't want you to kiss them.
He's like, I'm not good at rejection, so you're gonna have to die.
Yep, and he just shoves her into this pit.
I've never seen any character that was so self-aware.
I know.
And yet also totally committed to evil.
My father wasn't really around that much, so I'm gonna blow up all of Gotham. So he shoves her into a pit and, dumps all the chemistry vials and acids and
that'll take care of that.
Stuff.
It's a jungle in here.
And this movie is even lazy about how people become what they are as a villain. They're just like, yeah, it didn't kill her.
Yeah, so
And and Mr. Freezing didn't kill him.
that happens, and then she comes out, and she's all sexy, and she talks like this. This is where I'm embarrassed for Uma Thurman, because, well, I'm going to give you the kiss of death. And
it was very weird.
It was,
I feel like the only direction she was given was, like, mock everything in the room.
And be, like, sexy from the 1940s in a creepy way.
So she's the Riddler. But not good at it.
And so she kisses this guy, and he dies because my lips are poison. Like, please go be in Kill Bill so I can like you again.
But she also was like, I have venom in me that poisons you. That's two separate fucking things.
Okay. And there's so many puns I have written here. It all went north.
Red hair, green costume, had a weird thing with their boss. Same character.
Yeah.
Went to Wayne Tech and was like, here's how to fix some shit. And Batman was like, no. Fuck you.
So here's the setup. Hang on. They have a Gotham observatory because it's all CGI, so they can make Gotham just massive and it's all big statues.
Like Thor.
Yeah, basically. I hated that. I hated the movie Thor. So it's so much CGI that it's hard on the eyes. I hate too much CGI. So anyway, they're at the observatory. There's this event. There's a telescope. And now this comes into play later. There are satellites strategically placed where the telescope can bounce images, so you can get images from anywhere in the galaxy or the universe or whatever. And you can see them through this telescope. So George Clooney is there, and he's not a bad Bruce Wayne because he is kind of the ne'er-do-well playboy Bruce Wayne. He's basically he's George Clooney. And Elle McPherson is his long-suffering girlfriend who's like, it's okay that he's not the marrying kind. I just like spending time with him.
Oh, she comes up with a full stack of papers. It's like, here's how you can erase all of your emissions for your entire company and save the planet. Yeah. And he was like, well, I like oil. What about all the people who have jobs thanks to oil?
Well, yeah, basically. And he says something like, well, what about fuel to get around and coolant to keep our foods cold? You know how many people starve? I'm like, oh, the Republican in you is strong, like, Bruce Wayne.
We always knew he was a Republican that loved, like, giving tax cuts to the rich and shit and beating up poor criminals trying to save enough money to give their child, like, medicine. But this was like... full cards out on the table. I love oil. Get out of here, bitch.
Yeah, because in the last one, he almost likes Edward Nygma's idea. He's like, that's interesting, but I question the ethics about it. With this one, George Clooney's like, no, we need oil.
Yeah, he's like, I really like oil.
Yeah, so she has motivation to get Bruce Wayne and get all the people of Gotham. So it goes back and forth between Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy. Now, Mr. Freeze is always after these diamonds because it helps. He puts it in his suit to keep him alive. He's also, if you know the comic books, you know the story. His wife has a disease called McGregor syndrome, which is a made-up illness, and he has her cryogenically frozen, and he's working to find a cure. So he's a criminal, but he's got some personal motivation behind it. I always kind of have a little soft spot for Mr. Freeze because he's got. It's like okay.
Some of his scenes are really good when they just leave them as him being sad and shit. I think
he and Michael Goff as Alfred were the best characters in this movie. Best acting and best story arc.
But they ruin it with his constant, like, I'm gonna scream puns at you, murder people with ice, and...
I'm Mr. White Christmas. I'm Mr. Snow. I'm Mr.
Come on, sing! Louder, come on, sing! Come on! Yes, come on, louder!
It was very cartoony. I did like what they did with his eyes. They were kind of silver looking. His eyes looked cool.
They were weird. Yeah, puns are like marshmallows in a cereal. Like, you can't have just marshmallows. You need cereal so you can enjoy the marshmallows. It's like, oh my god, it's marshmallows. But if all you had was those wet styrofoamy marshmallows, they wouldn't be good.
Too many marshmallows.
So These puns are the marshmallows that are crowding up my Captain Crunch.
Yeah, now, what's enjoyable about Mr. Freeze's lair is that we get a little surprise visit in just one short scene by Miss Vivica A. Fox, dressed in this adorable little outfit. She doesn't need to wear pants for some reason. She's just got a cute little outfit on. And she talks about, like, the cold. It's like, oh, my skin is dry. This is bad for my nails. But, you know, honey...
Anything for you, basically.
We can make it work. And he's like, no, I'm married, basically.
Talk about your cold shoulder.
So he turns her away, and she walks away. And I'm like, damn, Mr. Freeze, you're letting Vivica A. Fox walk away? I mean, that's all right, because you get to watch her walking away. But, damn, Mr. Freeze, you had Vivica A. Fox.
And the best part...
She's so pretty.
So this is just funny. Melanie... Okay. She did not use this term incorrectly, but I, a man of the people... just have heard this used in a very different way.
I called her a snow bunny because she looked...
Like,
wait, just let me... Just stop.
Cute little snow bunny.
She looked cute. You think about women who are on the ski slopes and they have like a pink coat and a bow in their hair. And that's why I've always heard the term snow bunny. It's like somebody who's in like cute winter wear and they're looking adorable.
So,
and AJ kept saying, that's not what snow bunny means. I'm like, yes, it does.
I was laughing when she said it, and I just like...
He finally told me today what it means.
So, just gonna pull up what snow bunny means in my neck of the woods.
And from Urban Dictionary. I knew it, like, by the look on his face. I knew it was gonna be bad.
So, just get my handed in.
Nothing wrong with what it is, but just, like, I knew it was from this type of thing.
Because it's the exact opposite. She's the reverse of a snow bunny, in fact.
Oh, God, no!
A snow bunny is a white girl who is known to go for black guys. Okay, cool.
Is that a term used in adult video?
Probably.
Oh.
So, couple of examples. Let's use it in a sentence.
Oh, God.
Hey, I think I may go for Savannah. Nah, bro, she's a snow bunny. She won't go for your white ass. Couple more things.
No.
An alternate definition. A cocaine addict, usually female, also refers to chicks who snowboard. Courtney Love is a snow bunny.
Does she snowboard or is she into cocaine or both?
So, and then we finally get a girl that goes to the mountains to wear cute ski snowboard clothes.
Said that.
But that's not the reason you go. It's a thing you do while you're there.
That's what I
That'd
meant.
be weird if you just went just to do that.
I mean, that's what I meant. But anyway, Vivica A. Fox and Uma
Wait. Let's use this one in a sentence, too. Guy 1. Dang, that snow bunny's that's been hanging in the lodge all week is hella cute. Hella.
For fuck's sake.
Guy 2. Yeah, man, that girl can't ski for shit.
Okay. So, throughout the movie, kind of the saving grace of this craptacular movie is Alfred, played by Michael Gough, who was in the Michael Keaton movies and in the Val Kilmer movies.
This is his... Just call it the Michael Gough franchise, because he's in all 4.
This is his swan song, and the thing that they don't do in this movie is show Bruce Wayne's parents being murdered, which is kind of refreshing, because we get that all the time. Bruce is starting to notice that Alfred seems a little frailer, he's a little slowing down, and he has images of Alfred, like, picking him up when he falls down, or reading him a book when he was going to sleep, so he's having these fond memories of Alfred, so I'm sitting there going like, oh no. Alfred's gonna
kill him.
And I thought, this terrible movie, it better not make me cry.
I was like, I won't say anything because I'm pretty sure... In my memory, I remembered wrong. I don't know if I ever watched this all the way through, but I've seen pieces, and I thought it was like, okay, somehow we helped Mr. Freeze get an antidote, but we only got one. And I guess that I'm taking that from the Harley Quinn show, I guess. And I thought Alfred was like, no, give it to her. And that was his sacrifice, and then he died.
That would have been awesome if they'd done
that. That would have been the best ending.
So, that didn't happen. We won't say what happens at the ending.
They C-3PO'd the shit.
Yes! I was just thinking, and Michael Gough kind of reminds me of C-3PO.
Because he's...
Like, Master Bruce, what have I taught you about housekeeping? And all I can hear is, Master Luke. So Alfred has these very sweet moments, and he kind of has these Dumbledore moments where he's like, there is no defeat in death, Harry, only love.
It's like Michael Caine, but more whimsy.
Yeah. So now, meanwhile, there are too many people in this movie. Alicia Silverstone shows up, and she's coming off the fame from Clueless, which came out in 95 or 96. Oh, don't roll your eyes. You like
It's
that
the only
movie.
good movie she was ever in.
Yeah, so Alicia
I don't
Silverstone
like her.
shows up.
I don't like her. I don't like her weird face. I don't like her weird acting with her weird face. I just don't.
Is it the thing she does with her mouth? Kind of the Drew Barrymore thing? Yeah.
Same with her face.
Yeah.
I care so much about the person in front of me.
So, anyway, giving Alicia Silverstone a lot of hate, dude. So, anyway, she shows up and she looks to be about maybe 17 years old. She is Alfred's niece.
Don't be silly, Alfred. After all, she's family.
Regular niece.
Regular niece.
Like
not,
they specifically say.
Not great niece or anything, but she is his sister's daughter.
Maybe it explains it in the Alfred show.
Oh, and that was disappointing. The Pennyworth
We
show.
only watched like half an
Maybe
episode.
we need to give that a try again.
So she must have. Okay, here's the timeline.
Too many people in this movie.
Alfred, his father left his mother when he was a kid. He goes off to war. He's 20. He calls back home, or he gets a letter from his dad. He's remarried, and they're pregnant. By 21, Alfred has a baby sister, and he's like, damn it, my family was broken. I'm going to be in my sister's life. And he got to do that, and he also had a brother nobody gives a shit about. And Wilfred. I think he was looking for a replacement. I think he was honestly looking like, if I die, I need Wilfred to come in and take over because this shit's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
So they grow up, and she eventually has a daughter at like 39. Kind of late to the game. That's fine. That means he was 60 when this girl was born. His first niece, 60. And now he's 80 and just dying of being 80.
Here she is, and they don't do much with her at the beginning. She's just kind of there. She likes motorcycles. She gets caught a few times stealing motorcycles from the garage, and we kind of forget that she's there. Again, they have too many characters. So we get back to Poison Ivy, and all right, so there's a big diamond necklace being auctioned at another gala in Gotham, and it's a rainforest theme, and they have drums playing, and the only people of color in this movie are doing these kind of, as a colonialist white person would say, like very tribal looking dances in grass skirts and whatnot, and like only brown people we see in this movie are doing this.
And every other person who has a suit and tie or whatever is white.
Is a white person. So they're auctioning off this big diamond necklace, I think, to see some beautiful woman wear it or whatever. And so then this gorilla gets up and does this creepy, seductive dance. It's very weird. Takes the mask off, and Bane's one of them because he's just knocking people off the platform. It's Poison Ivy, and she kind of seduces the whole crowd. She blows out her pheromones, and everybody's like, "Oh, she's so beautiful." So she promised Mr. Freeze to steal. I mean, Uma Thurman's pretty.
She has her time and place.
Yeah, she's pretty. So I look like crap today. I'm not even wearing makeup, so I'm not going to throw hate. I think Uma Thurman is pretty. So she steals the diamond from Mr. Freeze and wants to be partners in taking down...
Doesn't he just take it back? Like she gives it to him?
Hand over the diamond, garden gal, or I'll turn you into mulch.
So the pheromones work on everybody except Batman.
Well, I don't know if it's confirmed, but I've always heard that the idea was always that he was gay.
So Elle McPherson was just kind of his beard.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's the beard. Fine. He doesn't get fully transformed by the pheromones. There's something else where she doesn't affect him. There's a lot of things that point to he's gay.
Yeah, there was something kind of cute, though, with Commissioner Gordon, because he falls for it, too. And he's like, I've heard so much about the back signal. I'll show you. And she flirts with him, and she says, "Oh, you're too old for me." And he says, "No, I'm not." Poor old Commissioner Gordon just standing there. So we get back to Alicia Silverstone stealing a bike, and she goes to what is basically Baneton.
You're in Banetown now!
It's actually Bainton.
Oh, and there's Bainton Droogs.
Yes! Talk about that.
There's fucking Droogs. Like, okay, WB has thrown Droogs into a bunch of different
Explain
shit.
what droogs are.
Everybody knows what Droogs are.
Well, some people might
You
not.
uncultured swine if you don't know what Droogs are.
Yeah.
They're-
You might have to break out the ultraviolence on you, male chicks.
Oh, God. They're from A Clockwork Orange. They're assholes, okay? They run around...
Alex and his gang.
They run around in white
Like
button-up
long johns.
shirts and long pants and really...
Like these black diapers, basically?
Well, they're cod pieces.
And derbies and canes.
And they beat the shit out of old people. That's it.
The ultraviolence.
I don't really think they belong in a bike race.
No.
Like a motorcycle race. But
so she and Robin kind of follows her and they discover each other and she says she wants to get enough money to basically buy Alfred out of servitude.
which is weird. I don't really get it. Like, it's not like he's getting no money. He was probably the trustee of all of the Wayne's money.
Probably.
Up until,
Which I thought was very interesting, though, because then I started thinking about, like, people with live-in servants. That's your life. You don't get to have...
Yeah, but they probably have,
or...
I'm sure they have, like, a stipulation where it's, like, 8 hours, 10 hours a day
I don't know.
for
See,
X
if I
amount
ever
of
had enough
days.
money to have a big house that required servants or housekeepers, I couldn't have a live-in servant because I feel like that would be... That person doesn't have a life.
What if they only come in afternoon?
Ethically, I don't know. Okay, if it's, like, part of the day, that's okay. That's a day job. But if it's spending the night and maybe you get a weekend to go see your kids...
Alfred doesn't count because his full-time job was raising the next Batman, okay?
All right.
He was that man's father.
But I never thought about that until she brought it up, and she said he's sick, and Chris O'Donnell's like, what? And he talks to Bruce, and Bruce is like, yeah, I know something's going on.
They also just cut away from them about to die, but who cares? At the end of the race, when they're just leaning off a cliff.
Oh, yeah, that was one of those things. They were leaning off a cliff. He had her by the foot, and then they're back at Wayne Manor. They never explain how they survived.
And they did the same thing when Batman catches Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, he caught Mr. Freeze at one point. I kind of forgot about that.
Allow me to break the ice. My name is Freeze.
So he's in Arkham, and Poison Ivy goes in to rescue him.
I don't remember how they got out, and I don't give a shit.
No, there's too much going on. I can't even read my own notes. There's
It doesn't
too much
matter.
shit going on in this movie.
I'll cut this short.
Sure.
Robin gets thrown in a vat. That was funny. Because I was like, oh shit, he got thrown in acid. And he didn't.
Yeah.
It was like ice cream.
It was in an ice cream.
It was an ice cream vat.
What if he made the next Joker? Like, what if he threw Robin
Okay,
into acid?
in one of the animated movies that came from one of the shows, one of the Robins does become the next Joker.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's pretty freaky. Anyway.
So Poison Ivy comes in and they have a fight with her. And Alfred has made Alicia Silverstone a Batgirl suit. And they do the close-ups
same
on her, on her crotch, on her chest, on her ass. It's creepy and weird. It's gross. So they fight with Poison Ivy.
Equality, but also kind of creepy.
All of it's creepy. So Poison Ivy kind of tries to kill Mr. Freeze's wife. She unplugs the machine that she's hooked into, and then she blames it on Batman. So Mr. Freeze has it out for Batman.
And they fight her, and who gives a shit?
Yeah,
they
so then the
trick
big
her
thing...
with a kiss with plastic lips, and then Batgirl punches her in the tit or something.
You're about to become compost.
Turn into a flower, and she's taken care of for a while. So Mr. Freeze...
That was very strange.
Why
would one of her creations eat her?
Yeah. Like, it's Frank. What? Frank wouldn't do that.
She did have Frank. She showed a Frank.
Explain Frank.
A Frank is...
I'm all powerful. Check this shit out. Take that. Take all that.
We keep going back to the Harley Quinn TV show. That's really what you should watch. Is the Harley Quinn
just watch that
series.
show.
So Mr. Freeze is he's broken out of Arkham. He's very, very angry because he thinks Batman killed his wife, and so he's basically like, if I have to suffer, you all have to suffer. So his thing is he's going to go up to the Gotham Observatory and freeze all of Gotham. So there's big visuals, big flips and everything. There's these two scientists that are stuck there. It's kind of funny.
There's an Asian fellow is one of these doctors, and he had a pretty thick New York accent. And,
yeah, who was this guy over here?
And it was awesome. I don't know why. It just made me laugh. Like, it's not what you expect. Like, I don't know why. It's stupid, it's childish, but it made me laugh.
Yeah, so...
Like, best part of the whole movie, honestly.
He and the other scientists are screaming, and then Batman and Robin and Batgirl are trying to stop Mr. Freeze. And Batgirl's a computer wizard, so she kind of gets it to stop. So all of Gotham is frozen, which you would think, okay, the infrastructure is completely damaged. Everybody's dead, you would think. But here's the thing. Remember the telescope with all the satellites? They figured out that if they could point it at the sun and get the sunlight to reflect onto the telescope, it would basically be like when you hold a magnifying glass over a bug, which I've never done, but that's the thing people do.
By the power of Star Trek talk.
Yes.
They just say a bunch of shit that includes technology.
Remember the 11 minutes thing? So it was like, oh, we've got 11 minutes to save Gotham, so there's a ticking clock. The telescope itself breaks off, but Alicia Silverstone knows how to reprogram it because she's like, oh, you men are so dumb.
So,
let me, here, move over.
Might as well have just not done that part.
So they melt all of Gotham and everything's fine. Everything's fine. Now, okay.
Other than the two cop cars that drove into a fucking building and exploded.
Yeah, they're dead.
Obviously.
They
must
so
be.
everybody's fine. Now, I'm calling some big time bullshit on that because we live in North Texas and we lived through the snowpocalypse of February 2021. Thank you, Greg Abbott and ERCOT, for making a bad situation even worse. Go fuck yourselves. So we have a pool, and it's kind of a jagged shape. So this was very interesting. The top of the pool froze.
It took
like a week.
For longer, for all of it to be gone.
And you would see the sheet of ice get smaller and smaller, and it kept the shape of the pool, which was kind of interesting. But it took several days for all of that ice, just that ice on top of the one swimming pool, to melt.
Yeah.
Don't tell me all of giant-ass Gotham, basically New York City.
What about all the parts in shadow?
Yeah.
Like, every part in shadow, they just had to wait till the next day?
Yeah, even when it snows and ice is here, you have those parts that are, like, on the curb or under a tree that stay icy for a while. So I'm calling big bullshit. That's the only thing. I'll accept everything else in this movie, but bullshit, you can melt Gotham in 11 minutes. They bit off more than they can chew. So Mr. Freeze gets his redemption. Batman goes up to him and says, look, I didn't kill your wife. Here's a video of Poison Ivy saying that she did it. Turns out we were able to rescue your wife. We took her.
TMZ'd her.
Yeah.
Like,
so
thanks to TMZ.
they took his wife. They set her up in a lab. They're like, you're going to go to prison, but we're taking your wife to the lab in Arkham. You can continue to work on the cure for McGregor syndrome there.
Basically, she'll be your cellmate.
Basically, so he said, and then he just said, look, if you want to redeem yourself, he kind of manipulates him a little bit. Just like, you've done so much destruction, can you please save a life? So he was basically asking for a cure for Alfred as well, because he had stage 1, so he wasn't as severe as Mrs. Freeze.
I wonder if
so he gives Batman a vial of the serum, and Alfred's magically better.
I wonder if you get McGregor syndrome by getting punched in the face by an Irishman.
What?
It's McGregor syndrome.
Oh my God, McGregor.
Just
yeah, you wear some fabulous pinstripe suits after that.
Hey, fucker, and then bah.
Oh, the bad boy of the UFC. So Mr. Freeze is redeemed. Meanwhile, Poison Ivy is in prison, and he shows up.
The Iceman cometh.
It was very kind of creepy, actually.
Yeah, he shows up out of the darkness.
And I'm going to make your life a living hell.
It was like when Vader, at the end of Rogue One, where
yes.
And the light just lifts him up. Like,
yeah,
it
wasn't that scary, but it wasn't that cool. But yeah, it was kind of like that. We're out of the darkness. These lights come up. He's got his suit back on so he can live. So, God damn it! Oh, I hate this movie. So okay, and even with Alfred, I thought this dumb movie
should have killed him.
No, they give him the serum, and then magically the next day he comes down. Oh, Master Bruce, you haven't been doing your housekeeping.
And he died 6 months later from a brain aneurysm because he's 85 or whatever.
So
he's old.
He was very sweet in this movie, and I really liked Michael Gough's performance of Alfred. Arnold Schwarzenegger was fine. I mean, who else are you gonna get from Mr. Freeze?
Somebody that was
Who else?
serious. He's not supposed to be like a physically imposing, like, big powerhouse. But you still had to get somebody that could wear that fucking suit. So
For the times, I think Arnold
I
was
think
fine.
it was fine.
Yeah, okay.
He was
things
fine.
that were okay about this movie.
He was written bad, but
Yeah.
Or I mean, the pun thing was annoying.
That kind of...
When he was being serious, he was actually written okay.
He was good. So Arnold Schwarzenegger was an okay choice for Mr. Freeze. George Clooney was okay as Bruce Wayne. He was terrible as Batman.
Oh, the worst.
He was
By
He was
far.
the worst Batman.
But easily.
Easily, even worse than Ben Affleck.
We went from the best comedy version of a Batman film to the worst Batman film back to back.
Yeah.
God.
So...
In fact, doesn't matter, but I think I like Batman Forever better than Batman Returns.
Ooh. I don't know how I feel about that. That's part of my childhood. It has Kiss from a Rose at the end, man.
Yeah, I could just pull up that song and listen to it, though.
Yeah.
I don't need the whole movie.
Danny DeVito.
If we got Frank.
Yeah. We could just watch It's Always
Fill
Sunny
me up
in
with
Philadelphia.
cream. Throw me in the trash.
Okay, here's what you should do. We come to recommendations. My recommendation, and while it's on my mind, go to YouTube and just look for like a mashup of Frank Reynolds and the Penguin.
All of them.
And it'll show clips of the Penguin with lines from Frank and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
And it's hilarious.
It's hilarious. So, in other things, The Terminator, really classic Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's scary as hell. It's still one of the most terrifying movies I've ever seen. Kill Bill, where Uma Thurman's actually good, and they give Vivica A. Fox some more airtime. And also the animated Harley Quinn show.
Yeah,
2 seasons so far on HBO. It is hysterically funny. It's very smart. It has a lot of... If you know the comic books, I think you'll appreciate all the little side characters that I didn't really know that AJ knows, because you were more into the comic books than I was, so.
I mean, well, like, all the weird ones you wouldn't expect that turn out to be real characters, like Kite Man. Like, Kite Man's a real fucking character in the comics.
Kite Man is embarrassed. Okay, so do you have any recommendations?
Harley Quinn. I don't know, man.
Go back to our Batman Forever episode and listen to our Q&A.
Batman Forever. Watch that one. That's the recommendation.
So you can listen to our... Yes,
that movie is hilarious.
It is hilarious.
Front to back, side to side.
Jim Carrey, gold. Just love Jim Carrey in this movie.
The whole time, just crackhead energy. Oh, God. It's amazing.
Yeah. So join our cult, Be My Victim, in a couple of different ways. Twitch, Discord. What's the other thing that we do? YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, Instagram, Movie Painter Pleasure Podcast. I'm also on Instagram at Melanie Gibson Author. Don't watch Batman and Robin. It's a drag. Just go watch Batman Forever. Batman and Robin sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ditto.